Hello, welcome to another edition of the NREMT Skills Assessment Quarantine Edition. In this exercise, we're going to be administering oxygen via a non-rebreather mask. Before we begin, as you know, we're working from home, so I'm a little bit limited on resources. So I've made a few adjustments to the supplies that we have. And so talking through it, you should be able to get the idea of what that actual exercise will look like. What I have is a BVM face shield, since I don't have a non-rebreather mask. And what I've done is I take my phone charger to it to simulate those straps that go around the patient's head. Also have the BVM refill bag that doesn't just attach normally, and that would be already attached to a non-rebreather mask. And the O2 hose also doesn't quite attach to a non-rebreather mask, a BVM mask, but we'll just pretend that does. And then finally, we'll have to use our imaginations to pretend that this O2 tank is full, which it is totally empty. All right, we should be ready to go. Let's start administration of oxygen via a non-rebreather mask. As always, we want to make sure that we're wearing the appropriate PPE. I have my super sweet pink kitchen gloves. Put those on. And then I want to make sure that my scene is safe. I'm going to grab my oxygen tank that I had appropriately stored lying down when I'm not using it. I'm going to inspect that, and we're going to grab the key and we're going to open the tank. And I'm going to crack it open just briefly and close it again. The purpose of that is to blow out any dirt or junk that's inside that valve there. I then want to take our regulator. Let's make sure that we got an O-ring in there first. And we'll place the regulator on top of the O2 tank and make sure those valves line up. This regulator also has these two little prongs that fit into the oxygen tank, so you now know you have it on correctly. Now that I got that on appropriately, I'm going to turn the oxygen tank away from me so this face of the dial is facing away from me. And I'm going to go ahead and crank that on. Spin it back towards me. And if I had a filled tank, I would see the needle on this dial go to about 2,000 psi, or in that green range of full. If that were not the case, I'd probably want to grab a new O2 tank, one that was full. But for this purpose of this exercise, we're going to roll with this one. At this point, I'm also going to listen for leaks. I don't hear any leaks. Looks like we got an appropriate seal and we have sufficient oxygen at 2,000 psi. Then I'm going to take our O2 hose. I'm going to attach it to this bottom port on the regulator. And then I'm going to take a non-rebreather mask and attach the other end of the hose to the front of that non-rebreather mask there. Now that I have that hooked up, I'm going to go ahead and crank on my oxygen on the regulator dial to 15 liters per minute. 15 should be fine for this exercise, should be a minimum of 10 liters per minute. The non-rebreather mask is appropriately rated between 10 and 15 liters per minute. And before I apply this to the patient, what I want to do is depress this valve on the inside of the non-rebreather mask, and that's going to allow this reservoir bag to inflate. So we'll just hold down that reservoir bag. The bag would fill up, and then we'll come over to the patient and we'll apply the non-rebreather mask to the patient's face. I want to make sure that this V part is up towards the top of the nose, over the nose, so we want to cover the nose and the mouth appropriately. And then I can take my straps, I'll put those around the patient's head, just up over the earlobes. And it also has these adjustments, so I can pull these adjustments on the non-rebreather mask to make sure that fits snug against the patient's face. It also has this adjustment over the bridge of the nose that I can squeeze gently, and that's going to secure it a little bit more over the nose. So I'll make sure that I'm adequately covering the nose and the mouth of this patient, not any open areas around the contact with the skin, and that we have oxygen flowing at 15 liters per minute to the patient. That concludes administration via non-rebreather mask of oxygen.